how you can make an extra $200,000 of revenue this quarter in the next 90 days without a single dime. Happy Friday, everyone. It's a Friday. I get to speak to all of you. We are in for an amazing hour, a busy hour. We have got such an exciting topic today, and this is a very special webinar. This webinar is not meant for everyone. Those of you who are watching me live, watching the recording, if you were invited to this webinar, you are a seven-figure practice, and we get to talk about some things that are possible for you that might not be doable for practices at other phases in their growth journey. So this is going to be awesome. Today, you're going to want to grab your pen, grab your paper, because what we're going to talk about together, I am going to be talking to you about how you can make an extra $200,000 of revenue this quarter in the next 90 days without a single dime of additional ad spend. And that is not always something people think is possible, but the good news is not only is it possible, it's actually a lot easier than you think if you know what to do. So we're going to talk about a lot today. Grab your favorite beverage, grab your notepad, grab your pen, grab your iPad if you'd like to take notes there. We are going to get into the nitty-gritty together. So what is today really all about? Well, yes, it's about finding those hidden revenue opportunities, but how are we going to do it? Well, here's what we're not going to do, okay? We are not going to just talk about more ad spend and more patient and more numbers and more, right? That is all great and well and good, and every practice always needs to get new patients. I would never tell you otherwise. However, it's really, really important to understand that you're all focused on the front door while there's opportunities leaving out the back door. What do I mean by that? You are basically, if you were at seven figures, probably you got there by what I call the ceiling of clinical excellence. You are very, very good at what you do. Word of mouth has probably thrived for you in a really exciting way that has gotten you to seven figures. But you're now at this point that clinical excellence alone is not going to get you to that next phase of growth. Clinical excellence alone is not going to get you to that next stage of patient loyalty, that next stage of revenue per patient. So we have to just be, not just relying on clinical excellence alone. That's the foundation. That's what's gotten you here. But we need to look at these tactics that need to get you to that next level. And like I said, it is not about spending more money on ads at all. Usually when a practice gets to this level by clinical excellence and word of mouth, there's a lot of things in their marketing operations, a lot of things in their patient experience, a lot of things in how they're converting patients that have little tiny holes dripping little bits of revenue here and there. And again, one little tiny hole, not a big deal. But when you've got like 30 of these little tiny holes, that creates hundreds of thousands of dollars of missed opportunity every single quarter, every single month, right? This is all about how we're going to get you to another $200,000 revenue this quarter without a single additional patient. Stick with me. Get ready to learn some really exciting stuff, right? We just need to stop losing patients, and we need to stop losing opportunities with every single patient. So how do we do it? There's really 5 things I'm going to talk to you about today. The first is I want to talk to you about the different types of patients you see coming through your practice doors and that you're probably treating in your patient roster right now. No two patients are alike, but most patients fit within one of 5 categories, and in order to convert them effectively, you have to know which one you're speaking to. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about something that I am a big stickler for, and that is language. Language all day. Oh my goodness, using the right words and where to use certain things and not say other things. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk a little bit about the patient journey and how to really optimize that to really maximize conversion. And we're going to talk about my personal favorite of everything we're going to talk about today, lifetime value expansion. How do we get your patient to spend more with you and more often, not in a way that feels like pushing procedures on them, but in a way that is really conducive to their best results and their closest relationship with you. So we're going to get into all of it. I'm super excited. So where do we begin? Well, first and foremost, again, we need to understand if you're at $1 million or more of revenue, your calendar is probably full. And again, it's not necessarily about at least right away adding more providers and more marketing and all that. That time will come. You may have just maybe brought someone new into the practice. So then there's opportunity there. But again, first and foremost, I always say, and you might want to write this down, fastest path to cash. fastest path to cash, fastest path to revenue. What is the fastest thing we can do to bring money through the practice the most quickly? It's not getting new people. It is getting more from the ones we already have, right? And again, like I said earlier, this is like death by 1,000 little leaks. We need to plug those leaks as quickly as we can. So if we look at your patient roster right now, there's 5 patient personalities, but there's 3 kind of frequency patterns. Oh, I got ahead of myself. We even got to that. Okay, like I say, truth number 1, clinical excellence is expected, right? Being good is the table stakes to stay in business. Being good is probably what got you to that first million, right? So understand, like, being good alone is not going to get you to that next level of growth. That goes without saying. If you followed me for any length of time now, you know clinical excellence is phenomenal, but it hits a ceiling, which is why you're here, right? Language dictates value. I cannot say this enough. The words you use in practice, the words you use in your marketing, the words you're using as you follow up with a patient, every single word matters. You need to use the right words to make sure you are perceived the right way by patients. And also, loyalty does not just happen, right? Patients are coming back to see you, and that's because they get results. I love that. But let's actually build loyalty. Let's build something that fosters retention. Let's build something that is very intentional about us getting more referrals, right? Loyalty isn't just this good, happy, fuzzy thing. It feels that way, but when it's done sequentially, when it's done in a systemic way, it makes a world of difference. And it makes a world of difference not only to that patient's experience, which is great. I actually just finished a webinar on that. But really makes a world of difference to the revenue they're going to bring into your practice over the course of 9, 12, 18, 24 months. So let's talk about how we do that all throughout our webinar today. Just some really cool stats here, and this is actually from really 2 cool data points. One is a Bain & Company data set, and the other is actually from Addo Aesthetics, and we found a really cool couple things that you're probably seeing in your own practice, but you didn't actually know the data points behind them, right? We know existing patients spend more. That goes without saying. If you didn't know, it's actually to the tune of 67% more. So that's a big difference, right? What if we could just get 67% more from every single patient over the next 12 months? That would give you 67% growth without a single new patient, right? And we know when this is engineered properly, the way we're going to talk about today, even just a 5% increase in retention and the sales that come from that can make it anywhere from difference from 25 to 95% in your profitability, depending on the practice and what you offer. It makes a world of difference. Another thing I want you to write down, a concept we're going to be going through numerous times today, is LTV. LTV. That is lifetime patient value. What is a patient worth to you over 12 months? What is a patient worth to you over 5 years? If you know that, you can not only better determine what you're willing to invest to get a patient, you also are going to know much more clearly what you can invest in making that patient's experience an exceptional one, right? So always look at lifetime value. The data behind this is just so compelling. A whole bunch of data points for you on that here, right? And I'm a big believer you always have to acquire new patients. That goes without saying. But when you build your entire business model, which, full disclosure, a lot of the really big chains do, a lot of the big private equity-backed players in our space do, they are running on an acquisition model. More and more new people, new people, new people. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's exhausting and expensive, right? You have this ridiculously high patient acquisition cost. You have no idea what your month-to-month results look like because there's no predictability. You're up, you're down, depending on how your ads are doing, depending on, what new patients are willing to spend that month based on what's happening seasonally. Like, it creates this roller coaster business model of revenue, right? And again, you are like beholden to ad spend. You are beholden to Facebook and Meta ads or Google ads or wherever you're running your ads, right? And heaven forbid, something changes with the algorithm or something changes with advertising rules, and like all of a sudden, you are in a really tough place. Where we see a lot of this happening right now is with clinics that are really heavily skewed towards weight loss and run on an acquisition model. Like, it's a mess, right? And again, one-time transactions for a lot of these places that are hoping to get that one-time toxin patient or that one-time, laser patient, but there's no long-term play here. There's no focus on retention. It's a mess. Acquisition matters, but acquisition, in my mind, without a very strong focus on retention, is just running on a hamster wheel. What a horrible way and, frankly, very unenjoyable way of doing business, right? Let's talk about the retention way of doing things. It's so much more enjoyable. It's so refreshing by comparison, right? You've already spent the money getting that patient. Like, let's do everything we can to retain them and get them to spend more, right? It compounds over time, especially if you do a membership. We're going to talk a little bit about that later, right? So your results compound when you're focused on retention, right? Dependency. All of a sudden, you're not just running on, oh my gosh, we got to have the next ad campaign going, got to optimize this and that, and let's hope Google likes us this month, and all the other things, right? You now have systems in place. You are building a community. You are building a culture. It makes a world of difference. And again, your patients are worth so much more to you over their lifetime with you because they're coming back and engineered in a way that's going to keep them coming back to spend more. So retention is the name of the game today. It is truly there are 5 keys to retaining patients and getting them to your next 200K this quarter, but like retention is truly the be all end all. It's why we're starting with it. So this is the thing. Different patients have different personalities. We'll talk about those shortly. But if you look at the frequency of your patients, you're going to see their visit patterns typically fall into one of 3 categories. Let's talk about them really quickly. The first is going to be occasional patients. These are the patients who probably are spending somewhere in the neighborhood of, over the course of 5 years, $600 to $1,500. They might only come in for a little bit of toxin right before a big event. They might come in for a facial once or twice a year to treat themselves, right? They might be the ones who only respond when you're doing some kind of promotion, ideally a value added on a discount, but that's another conversation for another day, right? So they are great people. We love them, but that's not who I'm going to have you focus on today. Who I really want to focus more on today are your returning and devoted patients, right? Returning patients, their typical lifetime value over 5 years is anywhere from 6 to 12.5. It could be more if you're doing higher ticket things like lasers or your surgical practice, but they respond to those appointment reminders you're sending via SMS, right? They return periodically. They come in once or twice a year whenever their budget allows. They love you, but they just can't swing it to come in 4 or 5 times a year. That's okay, but we can do some things to optimize these patients. We're going to talk about that today, right? And then the third kind of patient, the one that I like to focus on the most, is your devoted patients, right? These individuals have lifetime values of anywhere from $12,000 over 5 years to upwards of $30,000 over 5 years, depending on what you offer in your practice, right? They want a plan. They love the plan. They stick to the plan. They are not going somewhere else when they see a special for something. They are truly those loyal, trusted patients in your roster. If you have a membership, they are most likely your members. If you're thinking of launching a membership, these are going to be the ones who join it first, right? They don't just need reminders. They're all about it. They're all in. They need to truly feel valued and recognized, right? So much of getting your next 200K without ad spend this quarter is going to be focused on your devoted patients and leveraging things to do more with them, and to a lesser extent, your returning patients, okay? We still want to do things with them, but they're just going to be a little more strategic, and we're not going to count on them as heavily. As for occasional patients, if we can do more things there, great, but that's not really my focus. We want to focus on those people that are tried and true, those people that we know are going to come back. Very, very important. So who's actually sitting in your chair, right? We've got 3 types of patient frequency patterns, but generally speaking, there's 5 types of patients, all with their own quirks and nuances. No one is better than another. I would just like for all of you to really think about the patients you saw this past week, or if you look at your roster for the week ahead, like who's on your books, and think about what types of patients you're speaking to. These are 5 psychological profiles we see among patients in the aesthetic industry. So let's start with the one most of you are probably familiar with. Let's start with the one most people think of when they think of aesthetic medicine. This is a type of patient we call the beauty seeker, okay? So these people are social butterflies. Many of your patients aged 35 and under, they're going to fit into this category. They always want to look their best. They want that, like, I woke up like this effect, right? These are the people that are following the makeup and beauty influencers. They're probably, into biohacking, like all these different things. These are your beauty seekers, right? They want the latest and greatest. They know what the celebrities are doing. They're probably asking you about them, right? They expect you to be up to speed and with the trends, right? Here's how you're going to serve these beauty seekers more effectively, right? It's all about combination modalities, because the worst thing to do to any patient is undereducate them. But if you don't adequately educate a beauty seeker, they're going to go looking for something that you could offer them, but we're scared to talk about somewhere else and get it. That other practice is going to educate them well and get them for everything else they were originally doing with you. Education and multimodality treatments is so important with a beauty seeker. It makes a world of difference to not only retaining them, but getting them to spend more with you, right? We also love value-added incentives to the beauty seeker. We know that speaks really well to this audience, right? Some of them, might be on a bit of a budget, right? And so leveraging value-added incentives can get them to say yes faster and move them to that commitment faster. So these are your beauty seekers. I'm sure you can think of a few in your patient base right now. When someone thinks of like the stereotypical who goes to a practice in the aesthetic medicine industry, they think of a beauty seeker. So this is our first type, right? By the way, there's nothing these people love more than a good compliment. Compliment the results. Be like, wow, I even impressed myself. Like that is like music to a beauty seeker's ears. So those are your beauty seekers. The second type of patient is what we call your change seeker. And if we look at all the data out there in the industry right now, most of the growth in aesthetic medicine is actually coming to us from change seekers. So who's a change seeker? A change seeker is someone that something in their life has changed and they see their appearance as a catalyst in this new chapter or to their next stage of life and reinvention. Someone who maybe has just started a new career path or is about to. That is a change seeker. Someone who is maybe in their 50s or 60s, they are newly an empty nester and have time and resources to do something for themselves. That is a change seeker. Someone who is newly on the dating scene, that is a change seeker. Someone who's maybe just come through the journey of, separation or something like that, that is a change seeker. So these are people where something in their life has changed and they are seeing their appearance as a catalyst to what they're hoping to achieve in their lives. What do we want to remember about them? These people are often very new to aesthetic medicine. These people may have some issues with their self-image and self-esteem. These people need a little bit of guidance. They are going to need a lot more hand-holding than a beauty seeker would. A change seeker does not know the difference between RF and laser and ultra. They don't know any of that. They think toxin goes in your lips. Like they don't know the first thing in many cases, right? We need to make things easy to understand in your collateral, in your social media content, in your email marketing. Easy to understand, and you can talk about the science a little bit, but keep it like literally 5th grade, 12-year-old level. Anything beyond that with a change seeker is going to confuse them. They don't buy based on science. They buy based on what they think is going to get them the result they want, based on your guidance and hand-holding them to understand what they need to know about their current appearance and what they're looking to accomplish, right? These people, if there is media that is featured a particular modality in treatment, if you have been featured in the media as a provider or as a practice, that is really important to these people. Anything that's been featured on TV or on a talk show like expert opinions, they love that kind of stuff. That is what resonates with them, right? So these are your change seekers. And again, a lot of your first-time patients may very well be change seekers, right? They're new to aesthetic medicine. They found you through referral or one way or another, and something in their life has changed where they are now looking to aesthetic medicine to help them improve their self-image, which they see as a catalyst to what they want to get out of life right now. So these are your change seekers. Keep them in mind. Which brings us to harmony seekers. I'll be super honest, if I had a favorite type of the 5 patients, they're all good and they all have nuances, but I do very much love my harmony seekers, pardon me. So who are the harmony seekers? Generally speaking, not always, but generally speaking, your harmony seekers, they're going to be 45 and better. Many of them will be well into their 50s, 60s, and better. Here's the thing with harmony seekers. They do not want to look different. The idea of changing their appearance is actually very intimidating. A change seeker, that's what they're looking for. A harmony seeker, that scares the living daylights out of them, right? A harmony seeker is in a great place in life. They just want to look and feel their best while it's all happening, right? What's unique about a harmony seeker is beauty seekers, again, know all about this. Change seekers don't. Harmony seekers, not only are they not very well educated in many cases on these aesthetic procedures, they also are not ones to jump into something. They are not ones to make rash buying decisions. They are going to want to know the safety profile of all of your different modalities. They are going to want to see before and afters. They're going to want to see data if you've got any kind of clinical data that's not too sciencey, right? The more information you can give these people to make their buying decision, the better. The other thing you want to understand is these people are not generally, it's a little different now if you see ChatGPT being something harmony seekers use, but generally speaking, they are not looking a ton online aside from now ChatGPT. They are looking in traditional media, the news, magazines, TV, things like that, more so than they're looking online on on social media, right? And if they're online, it's probably Google or ChatGPT. They are not on Instagram. They might be on Instagram to watch their grandkids grow up or like look up recipes or things like that, but they are not the ones on social media looking for a new provider. So like going crazy with Instagram, if you're trying to attract harmony seekers, like probably not your first priority, right? They need to feel very, very reassured. They need to feel handheld. They also like to do businesses with brands that are in things for the greater good. So if you do anything to give back in your community, like make sure you let these harmony seeker patients know about that, okay? Very, very, very important, right? The great thing and why I truly love my harmony seekers, when you've got them, oh my gosh, you have got them. When they are your patient, they'll be with you for the rest of their lives. They will never go anywhere else. They will send their friends and family to you. They will do everything you say once they trust you. Like they are super, super lovely patients to have. It's just a little bit more work to get and keep them because they do want that reassurance and they're not necessarily online looking for this information. So these are your harmony seekers, and they love to hear, we're going to make you look like you. We're not going to change your appearance. You're going to look and feel like the best version of yourself. That is what matters to a harmony seeker. Super, super important to keep in mind. Now, types 4 and 5 act in a very similar way, but they have different psychological motivations. So let's talk about our last two patient types. 4 is our prestige seekers. Prestige seekers. So if you have a lot of male patients, the vast, vast majority of male patients are prestige seekers. If you have a lot of patients that are executives in their career, they are probably prestige seekers. So here's the thing. Prestige seekers are very accomplished people. They, again, are often very accomplished in their career. They delegate to many people in their professional lives, and they are looking to delegate their wellness and aesthetic needs to you. Here's what the nuance of a prestige seeker is. These people have high, high, high standards, okay? Your presentation of treatments needs to be exceptional. Your credentials need to be presented in an exceptional way. Your practice needs to look and feel absolutely phenomenal. These people, when they travel, they are traveling 5-star. When they stay at hotels, they are staying 5-star. Your patient experience needs to be 5-star. What's great about prestige seekers? Price is not how they make decisions at all. They will gladly pay a premium. They will not ask about price. They will not try to negotiate. They don't want to bargain. They actually get turned off by deals and promotions, which is great about them, right? But again, those standards are high. Another really tricky thing with prestige seekers, they will never tell a living soul they've been to your practice. The possible exception is their wives or girlfriends or significant others. But they will not be posting about you on social media. They will not let you use their before and afters. They will not leave a Google review unless it's from like an anonymous account with a fake name, right? They are extremely discreet, okay? These people see their appearance as a form of status, to be completely honest with you. Many of these patients, I'm just going to tell you like it is, many of them, if you're in the wellness or longevity or hormone space, many of them are going to be gentlemen in their 50s and beyond who are probably dating quite a bit younger, and they want to be able to keep up. Like, that's just the reality of how these guys are, right? So they are great patients, but they come with a lot of nuance and some very, tricky things to navigate, like the fact that they want discretion and the fact they will never send you a referral, and their standards are quite high. With these people, they are going to want to see before and afters, and they're going to want to see a lot of them. Their age, younger, older, they want to see all of it. They want to see your results. They want to see that, your money is where your mouth is, for lack of a nicer way to say it. So these are your prestige seekers. Not a bad group to serve. Again, especially if you want to charge premium fees, you will have many prestige seekers. You just need to understand how to talk to them and the nuances of marketing to them. So keep that in mind. Which brings us to number 5, which is our detail seekers. Our detail seekers. So the best way I can describe a detail seeker to you is think of them like the ladies who lunch, okay? These are very affluent patients in most cases. Again, just like prestige seekers, very, very high standards. They are going to want to see a lot of before and afters. Like beauty seekers, they're up to the speed on the trends to an extent, but they probably think they're talking about one thing and they're actually talking about another. These people think they know, but they actually need your professional guidance. But they want the latest and greatest. They have that same desire like a beauty seeker. They might be on social media, but it's not like their big deal. They are much more intuitive. These people also might play hardball with you a little bit, right? When they are trying to, negotiate a treatment plan or things like that. Here's what you need to understand about detail seekers. Don't give in. to a lot of these people, when they're trying to get a deal out of you, it's like a game. Like, they will gladly spend whatever price you quote at the end. They just want to see what they can get out of you. Now, whereas a prestige seeker will never tell anyone they've been to your practice, detail seekers are kind of a hybrid. Half of them are like very discreet and will never tell anybody. The other half, they will tell literally everybody. Their housekeeper, their sister, their, you name it. Like, their therapist, like everybody they will tell about you, right? So these are people who truly want the best. They can be divas, I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, these people are a bit of legwork to serve, but they will gladly pay a premium, and if you do right by them, they can really be a great referral source. So again, not a bad type of patient, just one that comes with the number of nuances and need to know what you're getting yourself into. So these are our detail seekers. So like I said, look at your patient base for the last couple weeks in your mind. Look at who's on your schedule in the next week or two and ask yourself, who are my patients? Are they harmony seekers? Are they change seekers? Maybe they're beauty seekers or prestige and detail seekers. Whoever they are, you just want to know how to have conversations with them and what they're looking for. That alone will do a world of difference in helping you really begin to convert more high-ticket treatments, really begin to increase our lifetime value from all of them. So really understand that. Oh, where's my slides? There we go. So if that's what we know about the 5 patient types, what words do we really want to use and avoid in our marketing? Well, first and foremost, before we talk about words, you need to understand about what we're trying to do at a greater picture. Like I hinted at earlier, we don't want these one-off, see them once and never again type of patients. We want to build a community versus just filling our books. Do you feel like you've built a community among your patient base? Is that something we have the opportunity to do? What does that look like, right? Again, we're not on the hamster wheel of acquisition. We are deepening relationships, right? We are not just looking at this one appointment at a time. We are creating treatment plans. We are crafting journeys, right? And again, not just looking at, how many bookings we can get on the calendar. That is a metric of success, sure. But more than that, I want to look at how are we measuring their lifetime value, right? And one thing, this is true for all practices at every stage of growth, but I get really nitpicky about, if there's one question I don't like providers asking patients, it is, what's bothering you? What's bothering you? Like, especially for people like your change and harmony seekers, they're already coming in like super self-conscious and maybe a little overwhelmed and a little intimidated. Why would you start the conversation by having them tear themselves down, right? Start that question with, tell me about your goals. What are we looking to minimize? What are we looking to improve upon? Don't start with that age-old question everybody's asking, what's bothering you? I know that's how you're all taught, but I really, really don't like it. Let's start doing things in a more upscale way. So just some words you really want to swap in your vocabulary when you're engaging with patients. The first is, it is never cost or price. That implies they're spending money and not getting anything in return. We are talking about everything in your practice from either the vantage point of an investment, my personal favorite, or if you want to talk in the context of a procedure fee, that's perfectly fine as well. Free, it's the dirty word. I joke, it's the 4-letter F word, right? Nothing is ever free. It is always complimentary. Very important to understand. We never use the word discount ever, 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 ever. We talk about savings. We talk about incentives. We talk about preferred pricing, right? Those are all much more upscale ways to talk about that versus the word discount. That's what the grocery store does before the bananas go bad. Don't let it be you, right? Cheap implies low quality. Nothing in your practice is cheap. Now, you might have certain modalities that are more accessible. You might have certain treatments that are very affordable. You might do things within your lineup of treatments and procedures that provide exceptional value, but nothing in your practice is cheap, okay? Delete that word from your vocabulary. And again, appointment, that just sounds like you're going to I don't know, like nephrologist, right? Or the dermatologist for something clinical, right? Like, it's never an appointment, it's a reservation or a consultation. It just sounds that much more elevated. So keep these words in mind. Just some examples of what scripting could sound like, right? And where you should be using the right words. And again, I don't like quoting prices over the phone. That's a whole other conversation for another day. But if you have to, give a broad range or give a more vague number. Don't just get into the price battle with somebody over the phone. That does not give you any opportunity to provide value. That's a whole other conversation another day. But for now, I want to talk to you about words. So, another thing you need to know is we need to make patients worth more. Lifetime patient value, like I said, super, super, super important. So how do we go about that, right? Your patient journey has 3 phases: before, during and after, before, during, and after. And there's going to be touch points, different kinds. Some are online, some are in practice, some are just how you made that patient feel throughout their journey. And all of these have opportunities to maximize patient value, to make that patient truly feel special. So how do we build on this, right? A few things, right? Where I want to focus on it as far as it pertains to maximizing lifetime value and getting you to that extra $200K this quarter is always frame the investment, right? It's never cost. Like I said, it's an investment, right? We always get that next appointment on the books before they leave that same day. If they have to move it, great, let them know we can. But let them know we wanted to reserve, and this is very important phrasing, we wanted to reserve priority scheduling for you. When would we like to get that on the calendar for you? Does a morning or afternoon work best for your next milestone, right? So we always get them on the books before they leave that day, even if they have to change it. And it always comes at that vantage point, we would love to get you priority scheduling. Let's see what that looks like. Would a morning or an afternoon work best for you, right? I love memberships. If you don't have a membership by now, you're breaking my heart. There are different membership models. Some are better than others for your practice. It depends on what makes the most sense for you, though. And really make sure they understand if they're not a member, the one question, you want to write this down, the one question your staff should be asking at the point of sale is, oh, were you enjoying members pricing today? Oh, if you were a member, you would have saved this today, right? There's different ways you can phrase it. Find the one that feels natural for you, but ultimately make sure patients who aren't a member at the point of sale have the opportunity to join and know what that savings looks like, right? Most patients just say no to membership because they don't understand that if you're doing it well and yours is structured the right way and patients use it, it's a win-win. It's recurring revenue for the practice, but the savings the patient's going to gain, that membership is going to pay for itself, right? So always really make sure we introduce membership. That alone could be $200,000 to you in the next quarter, let alone anything else I'm talking about today, right? And again, provide post-care collateral, walk them out wherever it's possible, make that departure truly feel elevated. It makes a world of difference. The other thing you can do, that great news, doesn't involve much marketing spend at all, if any, and it doesn't involve any extra payroll, if any. It is automation. Oh my gosh. We are living in the age of AI. There are opportunities in front of us like we have never had before to maximize retention and maximize patient value. I want to talk to you about what a few of those are, right? So there are really 5 big pillars of automation. You don't have to do all 5 at once, but 5 big things you can tap into to really maximize revenue through the use of AI. The first is, what do we do to welcome new patients to the practice? Is there an email sequence? Is there a welcome video that we create? What do our new patient sequences look like to set that expectation before they come in? And something you want to write down, 80% sold. 80% sold. If your marketing is doing its job the right way, by the time someone actually comes in for that initial visit, they should be like 80% of the way sold to, yeah, this is the clinic for me. Yes, this is the provider for me. It takes work, it takes intent, but you can totally do it with the right new patient sequence. So understand that. Post-visit follow-up. And I don't just mean the clinical do this and not that. That matters. There's a place for that. But things that feel personal, things that really feel luxurious, things that we feel like we care about that patient. Now, you will automate that to an extent. We're never going to automate fully, right? That feels very impersonal and that's not luxurious at all. But there are ways we can use automation in a way that does feel elevated, right? Again, making sure patients are pre-booked. If we, for whatever reason, can't do it while they're in the visit that day, making sure we have automations to get them pre-booked, right? Making sure treatment windows never close, right? Always very, very important. What about the people we haven't seen in a while? In my world, a patient becomes inactive after we haven't seen them for 91 days or more. After that 91-day mark, that is when someone is prime to really be activated into a retention sequence. So what can that look like? And a reactivation sequence, what can that look like? And again, automating things is your membership. Educating people about membership, getting people signed up for membership, making members, aware of their benefits so they're actually using them, right? Those can all be automated as well. You don't need to do all 5 of these at once. One alone can get you to your next $200K this quarter, right? But these are the 5 places I see automation can really be used intelligently. So think about your practice. Think about the nuances of your patient flow and really ask yourself, where does automation make the most sense for us? Lean into it. This is going to change the game for you. This is something that I want you to start using with all of your AI tools. Your Claude, your ChatGPT, if you're using Microsoft Copilot, I don't know why you would. I don't feel like anyone uses it, but they put it on every computer. Whatever you're using, okay, you can use the FPOTC framework. What is FPOTC? So FPOTC is really a framework for how you're going to prompt your AI tools. What does it stand for? Let's talk about it. F is for format. What are you actually asking your AI to create? Is it a post-care sheet? Is it an email for marketing? Is it a social media caption? Is it an SOP to train your staff? Like, what are we actually asking AI to create for us? Start there. P is for practice type. What are your credentials? What treatments do you offer? What do you not offer? What type of patients do you serve or want to attract more of? Tell your AI as much as you can about your practice so it can tailor the output based on what you're actually up to. And it's not talking all kinds of gibberish and quoting treatments you don't even have and things like that, right? So P is for practice or practice type. O is for objective. What's the objective of this piece of content that AI is helping you with? Is it to get new patients? Is it to educate your patients on something they should be buying but aren't? Is it to get staff more compliant with a particular SOP? Like, what is the actual objective of this AI task? List it explicitly. T is for tone, and as a branding guy, I have to say to you, this is the most important one. What tone is it? What words do you use and not use? Do you sound very fun and whimsical and informal in your talking with patients and your content online? Are you much more buttoned up and clinical? Are you very, elevated and maybe even a little snooty, some of you? That's okay, right? There's no right or wrong personality for a brand to have. It just has to be authentic to who you are. How you're going to make that happen is with T. T is for tone. And then C is for call to action. What do you actually want people to do next? What action step do you want them to take? Like, put that in there. So always start with FPOTC, and then you can add more detail after that if you want. But following the FPOTC framework, whether it's in ChatGPT or Claude, it is going to give you a much more robust finished product and one that you need to audit and edit a lot less. And if you do have to do those things, do them, but don't just do them and not tell AI. Like, tell AI what you fixed so in the future it knows not to do what it did wrong initially, right? People say, well, AI didn't work for me. And I'm like, well, that might be true, but you also probably didn't work very well for your AI and didn't give it the right instructions, right? So FPOTC can be an absolute game changer for you. I really want you guys to keep that one in mind. I am a big believer in having dedicated AI time on your schedule, both for yourself and for your staff. If you can only swing 30 minutes, then it's 30 minutes. Ideally, 90 minutes is a really good place to start. And you're going to want to plan what you want to do with AI that given day, that given week. Always start by doing a little bit of planning, so you're not just typing random prompts and seeing what you get, right? From there, you're going to actually want to see what AI generates for you, right? And this will be the majority of your time and time you work in AI, seeing what it gives you, trying different things, kind of just playing with the tool a little bit to get your outcome, right? And then 30 minutes in your AI sprint, or however long you take, should, about a third of the time, whatever that increment is, should really be allocated towards looking at what you're going to do with polishing it. What does it need to say differently? What did it not do well? Again, don't just fix it and not tell it. Tell it what to fix. And if you fix something manually, instruct your AI that way, right? Always set goals. How many patient touch points do you want to work on that day or that week, right? What about reactivation email campaigns? What about, automation flows and how long are you going to be able to allocate each week? Plan this all out, right? The only way your AI is going to get smarter and that you're going to get better at using AI is if you use it consistently. And what I like to say about AI, when you use AI the right way, and why I included it in this webinar about getting an extra 300K this quarter, when you use AI the right way, you are going to see that years turn into months and weeks turn into days. Something that would have taken you years before, you can now do in months. Something you would have done in weeks before, you can do in days. And something would have taken you days, you can do quite literally in minutes, okay? So put an AI sprint in your calendar each and every week. It will be a complete game changer for your practice, for marketing, for your internal systems, you name it. AI is your friend, and we're, if not already there, we're very soon. I would argue we're already there, but you are very soon, in some cases, going to be in a case where you literally will not be able to compete with your competitors that are using AI intelligently because you just don't have anywhere near the level of productivity they have. Not because they have more staff, but because they're using AI to do what human productivity on its own can't necessarily. So get familiar with AI, learn to love AI. It'll be a complete game changer. Will the robots take over one day? I don't know. All I know is right now it is a complete sea change in the level of productivity you can have for your marketing and for your operations. So keep that in mind. Perfect. Just some examples of what follow-up could look like that you leverage through AIs. Let's talk about memberships, because here's what people don't understand. When they hear the word membership, they already think, oh, discount program. Oh, Adam's going to ask me to take money off. No, I am not. You may have member exclusive pricing, and that may offer a bit of a savings. But if that is why people are joining the membership, your membership is structured entirely wrong. What does a membership need to offer? Depending on the model you choose, it can do different things, right? First and foremost, it needs to foster a sense of exclusivity. I would encourage you, you may not take an unlimited number of members. You may only take 250 in the first year, or you may only take 500. Again, it's going to depend on the size of your practice and your patient roster, but don't just make it like, like a Costco card where everyone and anyone can join, right? Add that little bit of exclusivity to it where you might want to look at curtailing or limiting the number to a certain threshold. Or maybe you only do 250 founding members, but those founding members get something exclusive. Like, you can play with this from so many different angles. I just need, in whichever way you choose to do it, I need your membership to really convey a sense of exclusivity. So that's number one. Number two, you may or may not choose to do this. I am personally a really big fan of it. I love a bank model. In some markets, like Delaware, for an example, that may have repercussions or things you can or can't do with that model. So you might do a credit model that credits are banked versus a monetary value. That's fine too. I just want there to be some kind of accumulating value if it makes sense for your practice, and I would say 75% of cases it does. So keep that in mind. And then third, I kind of hinted at this a little bit earlier, your membership needs to foster a sense of community. Do you do members-only events? Are there members-only swag? Maybe you have a level of your membership that people can only get to if they refer you a certain number of patients. They can't even buy their way into that, right? What are you doing to foster a sense of community among your members? Again, this is so much more about just getting them on recurring billing and selling them more stuff. That does happen. That is the natural byproduct, but that is not our goal here. We really want to focus on exclusivity, community, and if it makes sense for your model, bankable value, which I would say in like 75% of cases, I can find a way to make it work. So keep that in mind. Let's also focus on turning every appointment into a gateway, right? Where is revenue hiding right now? Well, let's start by mapping out your touch points honestly, mapping out your patient journey honestly. Do we do our consultations very well, or are we starting with that negative perspective that maybe puts the patient not in the greatest emotional place and where they don't want to buy, right? Do we suggest a multi-visit treatment plan to every patient, or are we kind of just winging it, and if our esthetician remembers to talk about it, she does, right? What about the follow-up and systems? Do we have a natural way to get patients enticed and excited about joining a membership? Do we have follow-up that happens 24 to 48 hours after? What about 7 days? What about 90 days, right? What does that look like, right? Anytime you're saying, ooh, you know what, Adam, we don't do that, or ooh, we could do that a lot better, there is your hidden 200K, okay? I really want you to understand it, right? Start by auditing your experience. It's super, super important, right? There are different windows to reactivate patients, right? Within 6 months, it's more of a we miss you vantage point and creating things around that vantage point. In some cases, you might not be leveraging your patient's birthday month. If you aren't doing that right now, my goodness, you are losing a ton of opportunities. I like birthday incentives being sent in the physical mail. I know I'm born in April 6th. Like, every April 6th, I get 200 text messages and 300 emails from every brand I've ever bought something from ever. I delete them all. It's overwhelming. It gives me anxiety, right? But if I get something in the mail, like a fun little birthday card that has a gift voucher to use during the month of April in it, you better believe I'm going in and going to use it, right? So annually, we've got that birthday window. And towards the end of the year, I know we're still in Q1, right? Actually, yeah, we are in Q1 to the end of the month, right? We've got that holiday window, right? Reach out in October. Get that holiday train started. Not only just for patients themselves, but all the gifting opportunities that really come with that, right? So lean into that holiday window as well. These are 3 opportunities to get more revenue of your patients over the course of 12 months that you might not be leaning into very effectively now. So keep that in mind. This is even something, if you want to go really granular with it, you can set a retention campaign every single month. You may not start here. It will take time to get to this point, but I share all of this with you to say, this is how seriously I want you to take retention. This is the level to which I want you to aspire, right? We do this with our clients every single month. What's our retention campaign this month? Is it something new? Is it something we're going to do from years past but retool, right? You need retention initiatives. Start big, crawl, walk, and then run, but you want to get to the level where you have a retention campaign dialed in each and every month of the year. These here are just examples, right? Some really interesting math from a few different sources here. We see from Artisan Growth Strategy, they know, and depending on the industry, it's anywhere from 5 to 7 times more to acquire a new patient. The latest data in our industry, it's about 5 times more, right? We know that, again, the conversion of existing patients is so much higher, as is their spend, right? 60% higher conversion, 67% higher spend. And again, depending on the data point you're referencing, anywhere from a 25 to a 95% increase in profit. This matters. This is where your extra 200K is going to be found. The numbers prove it. Again, like I said, you crawl, you walk, and then you run. So next, 30, 60, 90 days, let's focus on really building out that foundation. 90 days out from now, maybe we're focused on really robust follow-up. From there, we focus on cross-promotion and expansion. And from there, we build an entire ecosystem, right? Don't aim to do everything overnight. You're going to overwhelm yourself and do everything half measure. I want you to find those priorities, whether it's retention, whether it's leveraging AI, whether it's being more mindful of who you're talking to and how to convert them, whether it's being more mindful of the words you use. Start with your fastest path to cash. Start with your fastest path to revenue and grow from there. One step at a time. Consistency compounds. Fastest path to cash is where you want to begin. Your next 200K this quarter is within reach, and not only is it within reach without spending more money on ads, it's a lot closer than you think, and I hope today's webinar showed you how. Thanks so much, you guys. I appreciate you joining me on your Friday afternoon. I will see and chat with you all again before you know it. Bye for now. I would love to hear what you thought of this video. What did you like? What else do you want to learn? Let me know in the comments below. We're always posting new content, so make sure you go ahead and like and subscribe to this channel as well. And of course, if you're looking to learn about how we can help you make your marketing that much more uncommon, that much more elevated, and you really want to understand what you can achieve for your practice, go to marketinginsightsmeeting.com. We would love to chat with you and learn all about your goals.